You hear me, Joe?
Yep, I got you.
Awesome. I'm curious, what are some of the special teams challenges with how everything is working right now? Because it seems like if you watch college football, the teams that just make rust-related mistakes are the ones that are maybe giving up a possession here or there, maybe points here or there. How do you kind of get these guys in a position where you feel comfortable about them by the time, Indiana comes around?
Well, number one, we try to learn from other people's mistakes. I put together a teach clip cut up every week for our guys. And, we're going to watch 3 today, 2 from the Texas game. But you're seeing a lot of special teams mistakes across the country. I think it's a byproduct of not having spring football. And then I don't know how other teams are operating, but I know here up until just last week, we were operating separate practices. And separate practices work for the offense and for the defense, but it does not work for special teams. So we really lost a whole bunch of time. We tried to make that time up in the meeting rooms, and maximizing our teaching time and maybe spending more time and going more in depth into situational type of stuff. But I think moving forward, the key is to keep things really, really simple. That's always our philosophy anyway. So I'm hoping that plays into our favor. But I think the more simple people keep things, just because you just have less time, less preparation, more distractions. It's just a unique year. So I think the more, and it also helps if you have, or it should help, in my opinion, if you have a lot of veteran players. We do. So again, I'm hoping that equates keeping schemes similar. You're going to have tweaks. You're going to do things differently to keep your opponents off balance, but as much similarities as you can probably have, because if guys got a whole bunch of reps doing something last year, it's obviously advantageous for them to have carryover from that into this year. Does that answer your question?
Do we just start talking?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. I mean, look, it's been a while since I've actually done like a regular press conference. So forgive my, anyway, with special teams, you mentioned the videos. Are there any ways that you guys have been able to fully get together to go over formations, to go over, like for instance, the Falcons game the other day, 2 weeks ago, where that onside kicks, is that something you kind of would go back and say, hey guys, that can never happen, and explain to everybody?
Yeah, we haven't yet because we haven't done our onside kick and our onside kick return stuff. But when it does, that along with a number of other examples will be shown, and we'll make sure that everybody fully understands the rules and say, okay, so in this situation, what would you have done, and call on a kid, so that they can answer that question. I think every special teams in the coordinator in the country is probably using that particular one. But what we do is, and it's not unique to this year, to be honest with you. It's just unique how we're meeting because we're doing it on Zoom right now. But we're going to take, there was one in the Texas game where Texas Tech, there was an onside kick and they weren't necessarily aligned right, in my opinion. And so, like I said, a little bit ago, you try to learn from other people's mistakes and make sure that your guys understand the rules as much as they possibly can.
Matt Alabama.
Hey, Coach, can you hear me?
I got you.
So I'm looking forward to speaking with Drew Hartlob later in the week. What has just been his importance to this unit and his development the past couple of years? And is there still a consensus? Is he the fastest guy on the team still?
I'm not going to get myself in trouble with the other guys saying who the fastest guy on the team is, but I can tell you he's really fast. He's just a guy that does a lot of great things for our team. He's really willing to sacrifice his body, if that makes sense. He's one of those guys that'll just kind of run into anything. Like you said, he's very, very fast, pays great attention to detail. Special teams is really his main role on the team, and he takes a bunch of pride in that. And him and Dan Chisena were kind of a 1-2 combo last year, and seeing the success that Dan's had making an NFL team, I think that only highlights for Drew and for everybody else on our team, the value that type of player on your team has.
Next, we'll go to Lauren Muthling.
Hi, Coach. With this year not counting toward eligibility, how does that affect your planned use of freshmen this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's available to use. You know, it is, as we look at it, it's still going to come down to us for who's the best guys. You know, the problem, a lot of freshmen are talented enough, but can they grasp, even as simple as you are, can they grasp the schemes? Are they ready to, are they ready for the speed of the game, the distractions of the game, those kind of things? And I think we have a few guys that are, but we're also going to, a lot of people will just play young guys on special teams. Because they don't then have to play their offensive and defensive players, but that's the opposite of our culture, right? We're going to play the very, very best players. So if a freshman's one of the best players, you're going to see him, you're going to see him play if he's the best guy at that position. But it's not like since they have this kind of extra year that they're automatically just going to play because of that. But certainly if they are the best, we're going to look to play them. And there are a number of guys that I think you'll see play that do fit that category of potentially being the best. Or if it's even and another guy starts on offense or defense, or if it's close to even, then you would play that guy on special teams, and that guy could have a little more energy for offense, defense. And so it definitely does factor in. I think it factors in more for your guys moving forward. So your older guys, your Jordan Stouts and Jake Pinniger and Chris Stoll and those guys, get how much better will they be that extra year, and how much more can they take advantage of master's degree programs and doctorate programs and those kind of things. That I think for them, I shouldn't say more important, but that was kind of my immediate thought is how it affects those guys. But you're right, it does affect the freshman group as well.
All right. Anyone else with questions? Just raise your hand. Anybody?
Yeah. Okay. This is kind of a follow-up from what I was asking earlier. When you see, as a special team, go an egregiously bad special teams play, what is your initial reaction to it? Just watching on TV, someone as a fan, someone as a coach who knows the game.
I want to start crying and pray and hope that it doesn't happen to me. It makes me want to go throw up. Because we're no different. Everybody teaches that stuff. I mean, you think that the Falcons weren't taught that stuff? They were taught that stuff. It's to be honest, there's better coaching and worse coaching and all those things, but most people are going to cover those things. It's at the time, with all the distractions, with what's going on, you are going to be held responsible and accountable. It's your job for 18 to 21-year-old kids. But because everywhere I've ever been, we've covered those things, and sometimes we've still made those mistakes, to be honest with you. So it just makes you hope. It keeps me up at night. I mean, I don't sleep very good right now because every weekend I'm just seeing tons and tons and tons in every single game. And so, you just try to do as good of a job as you can of educating those guys, making sure that you have guys in the right positions. The question that came up about the freshmen, it's one of the concerns of freshmen is they're not experienced, so oftentimes do I have experienced enough guys? Am I putting guys in the right position, and just trying to make sure that you're minimizing risk as much as possible? But the difference, I talk to our players all the time about the special teams. One of the biggest differences that a lot of people don't realize is I call it one play focus. Like if you go out on the punt team and you have a bad play, it's catastrophic, and you don't get to go to second down. If you go out on offense or defense and something bad, if you go out on offense and you have a big sack on first down, well, then it's second and long, right? Nobody wants that, but it's then second down and third down, and you might sustain a long drive, and no one remembers that first play, right? You got a chance to make up for it. Well, in special teams, it's not like that. It's a one play focus, and everybody's got to be hyper focused. And so you just try to make sure that you're doing as many things, like you said, to show it to them, to put them in those situations at practice, and to make sure that you've created those experiences for the guys as much as you possibly can, so that when that time comes, they will react in the appropriate way.
All right. Any others with questions? Just remember, it's the next question you can do. I think a shortcut to is Alt-Y or Option-Y, depending whether you use Windows or Mac. So you can use the breakout rooms thing too if you need to move to another room. Yeah, Coach, will sit tight here. If others are bouncing around, they might come in looking for questions and all.
Yep, no problem.
Oh, Coach.
Yes,
Just
sir.
a quick thing. I'm from Atlanta. Let's just say your response was way calmer than mine.
I would imagine so. I must admit I'm a little bit biased because their special teams guy is a friend of mine. I know him and I think he does a really good job, but I don't blame you. I get it, man.
Thanks, man.
No problem. They've lost a couple tough ones like that too.
Oh my God. Last week. Don't even, Jesus. Don't. I've been in a good mood and I'm going to stay in a good mood. Yeah.
That's the right attitude. I like your attitude, man. There you go. Control what you can control, right? Your attitude and your effort.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Coach, I got a quick question for you. Do you a lot of times in special teams you have guys who might not get that much playing time, and the way they'll see the field is through special teams. Do you see that kind of changing this year, possibly with the quick turnaround?
No, I think that really changed with our philosophy. I don't know how it was before I got here, but our philosophy is really not that way. We're going to play the best players, and oftentimes the best players do start on offense and defense. So I don't see it changing much of how we do things. Coach Franklin and I's agreement with Coach Pry and Coach Shiraka is that every starter besides O-line, D-line, or quarterbacks can start on 2 teams. And then if they're going to be on more than 2, it would be a discussion to be cleared by the coordinators to make sure that we're not overutilizing or underutilizing anybody. So I don't think that happens here that much. Some, but again, we're going to play the best guys. So if the best guy is Jesse Lucchetta, but he also starts at linebacker, well, then he's going to be the best guy. So I don't think it'll have much of an impact that way this year.
Okay, thanks.
The difference for you, just to further, since no one else is asking, the difference to me is that sometimes a really talented player who would be playing on offense or defense, but there's a learning curve. There's more of a learning curve to learn that playbook on offense or to learn all the different coverage adjustments and calls and everything on defense, whereas the special teams are simpler. So a guy can sometimes play sooner because and be better or be just as good as the guy playing on offense or defense because it's a lot easier. If I'm on kickoff, there's not that much to think about, right? Well, if I go out on defense, there's a whole bunch of different things to think about. So that's where I think that comes into play some.
In places that you've coached in the past, have you found that a little bit different than it is at Penn State, someplace that like here with such high level guys?
Yeah, a little bit because you have more high level guys than here, but the places that I've been, most of them, special teams have been really important. And I've hoped that I've helped to cultivate that culture to where our best players want to be on it and that they're mad if they're not on it. And so I have been places where it was like that, where like you couldn't play guys that started on offense or defense and you only played the young guys, and we weren't as good, so it's certainly anywhere that I am, if I can. I'm not the head coach, but if I can, it's my responsibility to cultivate the culture where the best players play and the best players want to play, and I think here you would find that Shaka Tony came into me, Lamont Wade came into me, just to give you a couple examples of guys saying, Coach, I want to be on more special teams. Ellis Brooks, Coach, I want to be on more Jesse Lucchetta. I can go through Journey Brown. I can go through all the guys that have come to me individually saying, Coach, I want to be on more special teams. How can I get on more special teams? That tells me that our culture is certainly, if not already there, is heading in the right direction when the guys want to be on it because they realize the value of it.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right, just a reminder, if you have any questions, just raise your hand. All right, Coach, I think we'll let you go here. So
awesome. Okay, thanks, man. I appreciate your time
Awesome.
and setting everything up.
All right, thank you for joining us.
No problem.